We are definitely glad to have you back.
Yes,
Yeah,
I'm very glad to be back.
Even though you got into the wrong bottle.
Oh, yes, I did. Yeah, that nurgling lube. Yeah.
I told you, use the bottle on the left, not the bottle on the right.
They look the same, okay?
I told you bottle on the left was the Gamer Sups
Yeah.
nurgling lube.
Well, at first I thought it was absinthe because it tastes like shit, but then like I just sort of went with it. But it turns out there was no alcohol content, only fucking disease. So, yeah.
Well.
Also, fuck absinthe, man.
You'll have that on them big jobs.
You will. You will. Well, well, everybody, welcome to the Serpent's Lodge. Interesting entrance
I don't know
here.
how the fuck I'm gonna edit that.
Well, you know
find
what?
out.
You do what you can.
That's true.
You were the editor in chief. You're the master on this.
That's true.
But
There's nothing we don't trust you with.
yeah. This is
Y'all need better standards.
You somehow or another managed to edit us talking shit about Dorn for.
I don't know why you did that.
What the random like Dorn shit talk or like the random editing bleeping shit I did?
I mean, both. It was all solid material.
Yeah, that was
100%
solid.
facts.
Yeah, 100% facts. Nothing and no lies detected.
I mean, you're not wrong. I'm just saying we don't have a canonical.
This post was fact checked by proper Orchid's.
I'll say I think the Imperium would have been a much better place if they just had easy access to Zen. That's all I'm saying. I agree.
Yeah. This coming from a guy who was on ONS for a while, so
Yeah, I'm still on ONS for the most part. This is the out of social norm stuff I can basically do, so to say. ONS like the discreet fucking packaging, you know.
fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair
That and his ons are a lot stronger.
Also that.
Are they really?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, I think they're like 8 milligrams.
They're like 8 mil, but they only last like 20 minutes, don't they?
Yeah, only 20 minutes. So it's a much shorter.
That's
but
all
it's
you
higher.
fucking need for 8 milligrams.
Fuck that, dude. I'll pop one of these Zins in and keep it in for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And I fell asleep with one of these in my lip once.
Oh damn, dude, I can do that.
I woke up and I was like, what the hell? And I'm just like peeling it on my lip. Like, oh.
Bro, I tried to take like a drink or something while I was double decking.
Oh,
it's impossible, bro.
Oh,
the second like any kind of liquid gets up in here,
Yeah,
like
dude.
one of the 2 pouches is gone.
It just fucking
I swallowed it.
Oh,
I have
no.
yet to do that, but let me know what the outcome is.
Oh well, I mean the outcome was I saw it in my shit while it came out. that was the outcome. I was just shitting
so
one
it
day.
will go through.
That's the
I went-
same guarantee, baby.
Just went to go flush it, and then I was like, "Why is there white in my fucking?" I was like, "Oh, that's the Zen pouch." It will come out the other end, though.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. That's good to know because I've always had that like fear in my throat, like I'm gonna accidentally swallow it one day.
Oh
and
no,
then
I'm
it's
gonna
just
die from swallowing a Zen pack.
It's gonna dissolve in my stomach. But all right, cool.
What I like to imagine is that, you know, like Malcador collected a whole bunch of Archaeotech and everything else. He had the Mona Lisa. He had like Starry Night by Van Gogh. And I'd like to imagine he also had like a relic of Zen, just like in
It's
stasis
just a
somewhere.
Zen pouch.
But he had like, he had like the rare ones, like the mangoes in
Yeah.
pouches, and
Oh, shit,
I forgot
man.
that was yours.
Before he goes on the Golden Throne, he's like, oh, fuck, time to break this out.
He's just-
After 5,000
he's-
years.
He's just packing his gums full of all Zin.
You got to have one for the road.
He upper
Man.
decks and lower decks.
3 days later, he's still zooming off of them shit. So
That was how he survived sitting on the golden throne.
Oh,
Yep.
shit.
He
Here it
just
is.
popped the whole can of Zins in his mouth.
Zen Max.
Oh Lord.
Oh
But,
boy.
yeah,
So we
One
get
day
this.
we got to make a list of like what Primarchs would do what flavors in.
oh,
Quality content.
oh.
Ooh. Oh God, we're gonna sit here and
I'm
think
just-
about this now.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
no,
and I'm
sorry,
thinking
I'm
about
sorry.
it now. I'm like, Kurds would probably do. It didn't matter which one, but he would do the whole can. It would just
Yeah.
probably the coffee flavored Zins. He seems like he would do something like
some
that.
coffee, yeah.
Russ laughs at you for fucking being a dipping pouches, and he just fucking throws a whole fucking chaw of grizzly in.
You guys
No,
keep this
Russ-
in your lip, I just
Russ,
chew it.
Russ would be the dude to take the cinnamons in and just chew them.
Ingron puts it in his lip with the packaging.
Yeah, just puts the whole can in his mouth.
You see like the African like
With the
little diss
fucking
things?
plate
Yeah.
and flip,
Yeah.
but it's a Zen
Zen.
can.
Yeah.
You are now listening to Heresy FM. This ain't your commissar station.
Yeah, yeah, he would.
Yeah.
Oh boy, so we have such a fun episode ahead
Oh,
of us.
yes, we
We're
do.
talking about the Dark Angels.
We
today.
finally get to go into
The Derp Angels.
the Derp Angels, the Legiones, in our Legion, the Astartes series. Yes,
Yeah, the
yes.
Astartes series.
The-
The Space Marine series.
The
Yeah.
Legiones Astartes. Is that what you were trying to say?
Aspartes, Adeptus, the Legiones. I'm trying to like variate between Legiones and Legiones, like Astartes.
Just say
like
Adeptus.
pronunciation.
Let's say
Adeptus, yeah.
Adeptus Astartes.
Yeah,
there you
just-
go.
Well,
or
we're
just
including the traders. That's why I'm going with like.
Well, okay, so
Legiones.
there are
Space
only
Marines.
there are only 19 Astartes legions and then one Adeptus Retardes. And that is the word bearers, and you
Yeah.
will never change my mind
No,
on that.
that's fair. That's fair.
Okay. I was talking to Groot earlier about it.
It wasn't the word bearers. It was just Erebus and
No.
fucking.
No, because Argel Tall fell into the retardation too. He was the one smart motherfucker they had, and he just slowly but surely let himself become retarded.
But he wasn't
Well,
retarded.
I gotta be honest. I mean,
I know he wasn't, but he started letting himself become retarded.
word bearers by themselves, I mean, it's retarded in overall viewpoint, but at the same time, when you go into the the dirty details, you understand the points, right? I mean, it's not as like comic. It's more like the case of they found the cosmic evil, and they're like, oh shit, well, this universe really sucks now, but at the same time, I feel like this is the actual truth, and I'm gonna follow the truth.
Yeah, but
You
but wouldn't
But I
you
mean,
think
in
to
the
stop?
in the end, they were following the truth.
But wouldn't you think to stop for 2 seconds and be like, why would Dad keep this from us? Why would the Emperor keep all this from us and keep us in lies and this is and
The
that?
same reason Dad blew our city up, because fuck Dad. That's
Yeah.
why.
Well, no, even that, because you look at it and you're like, okay, I'm looking at this grotesque, horrible fucking thing in front of me, and it's got wings, but it says it's not an angel. If it was an angel, it would be a lot more beautiful, kind of like, I don't know, my Primarch's brother Sanguinius, you know? Really, like, this thing is horrible, evil, twisted, distorted. The things that you have to do to summon this thing are dark, evil, twisted, and distorted. So it's like, maybe this is why Dad didn't tell us, because this is probably something we shouldn't be fucking with.
But is it really worse than what we're doing already?
What do you mean?
Because
Oh.
I mean, think about it. You already had, when they were still loyal, you had the 1,000 Sons succumbing to the flesh change.
But that was a genetic flaw.
But either way,
Yeah.
but they were, but still, you see that these things are happening to other brothers as well, where they're becoming these malformed.
Well, they found out that, well, at least Argel Tall in the Serrated Suns chapter, found out that all the legions have some kind of genetic flaw, with the exception of them. Their blood is the purest, but their genetic flaw, they still have one, is their unyielding fucking loyalty to their Primarch, to the point of fanaticism. That's
Yeah.
essentially their genetic flaw, is being fanatics.
Yeah.
And like Magnus and the 1,000 Sons, well, the 1,000 Sons, theirs is the flesh change. Fucking the Space Wolves, their genetic flaw was wolf people.
The wolfen.
Yeah, exactly.
Some of them are more subtle. Some of them are more
Yeah.
intricate. Everything else, all that fun stuff.
But so yeah, I just
Taking our Zen
I
plates. Okay.
I love how this episode's supposed to be about the Dark Angels,
And all
we
we're doing
just-
is talking about word bearers.
yeah.
Anyways,
But
okay, we
still.
can go
Yeah.
back because man, Word Bears episode's gonna be fun.
God damn it! I almost kind of wish we started from the back end going forward.
Yeah.
Going there, it says,
I know, but I decided we'd start at number 1 and keep.
Let's get this over
God.
with. Okay, so
all right. So for the 3 people who are Dark Angels fans, this is the episode for
fuck you.
Everyone else can just skip to the next one.
So we kind of did we discuss? I think we kind of discussed what happened with the Emperor Malkador. Emperor Malkador made test tube babies.
Yep.
Yeah.
They got scattered across the galaxy,
Yep.
and then the Emperor was like, "Oh shit, I lost my sons. I guess it's time for us to go on the road and go find them."
Okay, I don't mean to detract this episode real quick, but I do have to ask one question. Were the word bearers responsible for that? The test tube babies being scattered around? Because I just got to that point in First Heretic, and they were talking about Argel Tall and all of them were in there.
You don't even know about Erda, do you?
Not yet.
Okay, so here's the entire deal, just for the sidetrack. It's what we got. Dark Angels are the first legion, so we got to talk about, I guess you could say, the Astartes as a whole, for
And
the
how
most part,
Lionel
'cause-
ended up on Caliban.
Exactly, but so how this happens basically, the Emperor and all those top scientists, everything else, were working on the Primarch project. Okay. At that point, while they were test tube babies, they got fucking yeeted. Original lore just said chaos yeeted them.
Yeah.
That was it. In First Heretic, we get this entire point of view from Argotol and everybody else, and then it's them yeeting the Primarchs, but it's sort of like through chaos they yeeted them.
Yeah.
Later, we find out that also there was another perpetual who is one of the oldest and strongest perpetuals and psychers, aside from the Emperor, called Urda. A lot of fans hate Urda because she shows up for 2 books, supposedly is really important, and just fucking dies to Erebus. But then she says, "Oh, I ruined the Primarch project," and she went into hiding because she thought the Emperor would basically go and kill her. So, yeah,
because I see the thing of truth. Because there was, come to find out, there was a Geller field around the whole test tube Primarch babies fucking place, and the Geller field failed. Whether it was Argotol and all them actually destroying the Geller field generator or Urda doing that, either way, the Geller field was dropped.
Yeah, well, here's my understanding is that basically it was a sort of Zinchian plan where you had a whole bunch of different factors moving to scatter the Primarchs, and part of that was Argotol and the Word Bearers, part of that was Urda, and part of that was, Chaos's overall plan using both of them to scatter them.
So Chaos is pulling in Ocean's 11.
Pretty much, yeah.
Trying.
Unironically, yes.
Trying to scatter the Primarch.
Yeah, so it wasn't, it seems like it wasn't solely Urda, it wasn't solely the Word Bearers, but it very much was Chaos. So the most accurate way of saying it is Chaos did scatter the Primarchs, and Lionel Johnson ended up on Caliban.
Yeah, so he was their Legion #1, not found. They're just the first Legion. They weren't the first found.
Yeah,
That was
these
actually
Legion numbers are basically the number in which they were made. Technically, yeah. But at the same time, not much is known, but that's the running idea is that that's basically the order they were made in.
Yeah,
the
Horus
first
was,
Legion.
well, I mean, besides
Legion was
Alfarius and Omegon, Horus was the first one found.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Lion was most definitely not.
But
so,
Lionel was the first one to be worked on. In the sense of the test tube babies and all that
Technically,
shit.
no. Technically, they were all worked at the same time. It's just the Dark Angels Legion was the first Legion to be worked on.
Right,
They were
right.
the prototype.
And that whole Legion was made off of Lionel's DNA structure.
Correct, yeah.
Right.
So
we so obviously these guys, as we said, was their home world is Caliban. Lionel Johnson landed on Caliban, which doesn't exist anymore.
Well, nerds.
Well, a piece of it exists.
yeah, I'm like, not that big.
One piece of it exists called a base called the Rock,
Yep.
because that's literally all it is a rock of Caliban.
Yep.
Yeah.
So going for this, whenever the Lion was on Caliban, and this is very, very important to understanding him as well as the entire ideology of the Legion, because Primarch came in, met the Legion, and the Legion usually when they met the Primarch had a drastic shift in how they operated, because they used to be entirely different from how they were before they met the Primarch.
Right.
As a rule of thumb, the Dark Angels, not much is known, but it's known that they were basically shadowy, everything else, and they were very specter-like. That's the black armor. The black armor actually came from that before they met the Lion, before anything else. But the Lion was alone in the woods of Caliban, which was a death world, and it was haunted by these horrible half-chaos monsters, especially the Lion of Caliban.
Yeah, the
Which was
Calibanite lions.
The Calibanite lions, which were the worst creatures. And I say when these creatures were bad, we're talking fucking bad shit. You go into the woods, you're fucking dead. Simple as. Unless you got some serious protection.
we're not talking about just like regular fucking lions
Yeah,
that men fucking fight.
we're talking
with
about
all the
like
time.
elephant-sized fucking horrific lions and shit.
So he lands on Caliban, and while he's out in the forest, these a group of knights that are riding, because these guys before Lionel Johnson ever came around, these guys were known to like go into the forest, slay beasts, come back, as a big fucking knightly hero of this order that you killed this monster, congratulations. But ultimately ultimately what they were doing was they were trying to keep everything in the forest.
Correct,
and keep it from all the settlements.
It was a
as
defensive
protectors.
war.
Yeah, they were just killing things that were killing people.
So they go through and all of a sudden they find this kid, which is not something you're supposed to find going out into the forest.
At all.
It was almost like if you've ever seen the movie 47 Ronin, where they go in and they find Keanu Reeves, and Keanu Reeves is a kid, but they label him as like a demon because they found him out in this forest where no human's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
he was what, like 7, 8 years old when they found him or some shit like that. He was an actual kid.
Young boy.
Yeah.
Now, granted, for the Primarchs, the aging was rapid, so they'd be like a fully matured adult by about the age of 10. So I'll say it's more likely the Lion was about the age of like 5, maybe.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he
like
was a kid, but
like
he was
an
not.
actual kid.
Right.
And Luther was gonna shoot him in the face,
Yep.
and he should have.
So it's important to know also that Caliban, the world he landed on, all the worlds that the Primarchs land on, influences who they become and their circumstances. Sort of a very big question of nature versus nurture with all the Primarchs. But Caliban was that feudal world, like we're talking about. So think medieval Europe. They had the knights. They had these isolated towns that were, for the most part, kept separate from each other. And
Castles. Everybody rode on horseback.
exactly, and divided into different categories that were basically overseen by these knightly orders.
What I thought
Yeah.
was always fun whenever I read the books was they were knights with guns, though.
Yeah.
Like they still like even though it was like basic, like it was basic, kind of like a fucking knight carrying a
It's like
block.
old England meets fucking Wild West.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Oh yeah, but the Lion was fucking nuts from the get-go. Because first of all, the impact it has on somebody, and even a Primarch, because they may be transhuman, they're still human, is that he was still raised alone in the woods. This affected him for the rest of his life. Been a very, very big impact.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lack of social development in a long shot. Dude probably had autism. We'll get into that later. But like, yeah,
All the
unironically-
Primarchs had
yeah,
autism at some point, in some way, shape, or form.
Can you
Look at
imagine
you,
though
Birdie.
being raised by these fucking like you're a kid out in these woods, and all you're seeing are these giant beasts killing other shit, and probably trying to kill you as well. And it's like, yeah, he's gonna have some of that in him.
He didn't have the good graces like Russ did of getting raised by wolves.
Yeah, he
didn't
literally
find
had
nobody.
I learned it by watching you. That's the
Yeah,
fucking line.
I learned it by just hiding and not dying.
Yeah.
But it was the point where the Lion would hunt down these creatures as a youth before he was found, just because, he had to live, he had to eat, everything else. And this established in the Lion a very big sense of individuality and being a warrior and self-reliance,
Right.
as well as very bad social skills, which we'll see in the Legion. So he was found. He gets taken to basically the monastery, his knightly order.
Well, I also wanted. So at first, whenever they found him, they wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
Like that was their first. That was their first instinct.
Fair
was,
play.
This guy is. This thing is supposed to be here. This has survived for some reason or another, and we haven't found anything good in this forest. He's got to be evil. We need to kill him.
Yeah.
And Luther was like, wait a second. I see something in him. What if we took him back, taught him our ways, and we raised him?
This is before Luther. This is after Luther fucking already pointed a gun to this kid's fucking head, dude.
And I will say that even though he was saved by Luther, there was epic foreshadowing
Oh
there.
God, yeah.
And Luther was also at that point, was he the head of the knightly order?
He was.
Yeah, he was. He was the one that was in line to be the next successor for the leader position.
So Luther was absolute head honcho. Now, obviously,
Yeah.
the Lion goes back. The Lion very quickly becomes the up and coming person. I mean, he's basically like the guy behind the scenes, but everybody knows it's him.
Yeah.
Where he's doing everything, and he's very quickly overshadowing Luther and everything. He's a Primarch. He can beat anybody else in combat, even with one hand tied behind his
And
back.
He's learning shit that took fucking dudes forever to learn. He's learning that shit in the span of a weekend. Fucking reading shit.
Yeah,
And being
he,
able to understand shit that guys have been reading for fucking ever, and are only just now getting a mastery of. Like he's the valedictorian of the fucking class, and overshadowing even like the most epic of fucking knights in there.
Yeah, and he was the Luther was the one that brought him in. Luther was the one that gave him his name. Named him Lionel Johnson, which in Low Gothic means Lion, Son of the Forest, because that was where obviously
Roll
he's a
credits.
son of the forest. His name is self-explanatory.
Yep.
When they took him in, they taught him how to read, they taught him how to write, taught him all the basics, taught him how to fight, and they also taught him knighthood. Taught him, the honor and chivalry and all the code of being a knight. He eventually surpasses Luther, which obviously any Primarch does. And this causes Luther gets he doesn't really admit it as much,
There's some
especially in like the
resentment.
first, but he does resent, he does have some
Oh, yeah.
jealousy.
Yeah.
he starts kind of seeing, well, this was supposed to be my position, and now this motherfucker that came out of nowhere and is surpassing me and everything, he's now becoming, the head honcho around here, and I'm, now stuck in second place.
Right.
Yeah, and it's important to remind to also remember that Luther himself was like the prodigy. He was Alexander the Great. He was Caesar. He was that guy for Caliban.
Yeah.
When it came to what he was doing, he was the prophesied one. It is sort of like the elevation he was at. So imagine living your entire life being the shit. And next thing you know, some random ass fucking naked ass child comes from the wood, and he can do everything better than you can by leagues and miles. And he just overshadows you. And he gets to the point where you're suddenly in that position of high authority, everything else. And yeah, you may be the boss, but everybody's looking to this other guy.
Right.
And you know your authority's being
and the thing
it's
about
like, maybe you're not the
about,
prophesized one, he is.
Exactly.
and the thing about the lion too is the lion knew the entire time that Luther was jealous of him.
Yeah.
He could see it, it wasn't so obvious to the normal motherfucker, but the lion knew. The lion could see the resentment coming from him, and it eventually finally towards the end there, it kind of actually culminates. Luther's jealousy culminates together and actually starts becoming a problem for the lion.
Yeah.
Or at the very least, that's what the lion perceives it.
Well, I mean, Luther almost blew up the lion.
Well, he had contemplated it. He thought about it, and then Zahariel's like, "Nah, I'm gonna go fuck with this." And then that's when Luther's like, "All right, fuck yes, yeah, you're right. Let's do this." And that's when he goes and helps. But
it's the fact that he needs that voice in the back of his head to
Yeah.
go, maybe I shouldn't do this. This might be a bad thing.
yeah. He did have a fucking reservation there for a second.
Yeah. So, long story short, the lion eventually on Caliban starts to go and gather up all the knightly orders. They very quickly flock to his banner because he's a Primarch, and super fucking great at everything. And he actually starts cleaning out the forest of these denizens that have been plaguing the villages, hindering communication, travel, everything else. And it gets to the point where they're actually pushed it all the way back to the very last section of forest, and all the knights rallying around him, and a very except for one, and that they later find out is that they have to go and basically besiege this keep, and they find that this group was actually raising and releasing monsters into the wild.
Yeah,
and this is where you get your first dichotomy, where both sides have an actual valid reason.
Yeah.
Because while the lion and Luther and those knights were basically going around and saying, "Hey, we need to cleanse the forest because in that case, we need to secure our home. We need to be safe from these monsters." Yeah. These other knights had the idea of, if we don't have these forests, we don't have these monsters, then suddenly Caliban is no longer Caliban. Everything that made us, and also kept the knights in business,
is gone.
It's like everything that made the knightly orders needed to be a thing is now okay. So what do you do after you're done?
It was almost to me, it's almost like a small scale foreshadowing of the Horus Heresy.
Oh, yeah.
It plays really into the Space Marine mindset of, what do we do when there are no wars? Where do we as the Emperor's greatest warriors fit in when there's no war to be made?
Yep.
Yeah. And when there's no more beasts to be fought, what is going to become of the knightly orders? I mean, there's no point for you at that point. At that point, your whole job is, as part of one of these knights, is to be the protector of the people. Well, if you have nothing to protect them from, then what are you going to do?
There's no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to go on briefly, this is whenever, long story short, a surprise, lion wins, everything else, right?
Yeah.
At that point, very briefly after that, oh look, big golden skyship shows up. Oh look, big golden man on skyship is there.
Yeah.
Oh, wonder who that could be.
I wonder. Hint, Big E, the man himself, the macho man.
Landed, and they actually saw them as angels.
Yeah.
They had never heard about, this was obviously feudal world, so they had no interplanetary fucking no
travel or anything
no
like that.
interplanetary travel, nothing like that. They had horses and carts.
Yeah.
And they later see these giants, demigods in black armor that were considered angels, hence the dark angels.
Almost as tall as the lion. They're like, oh fuck. What the hell?
So during this part, a little riff starts developing on Caliban, and this is basically between, I guess you could say, the fundamentalists versus the Imperials. Okay, so very quickly, the first thing that the Emperor did and the Imperium did is they started changing Caliban from, again, the forest, everything else, recently created monsters. they started leveling consonants, and suddenly
Start turning it into a hive world, basically.
Yeah, they they started turning it more for like
Industrial
Yeah,
world, I should
they
say.
started
Yeah.
industrializing like hardcore.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So suddenly all these people who fought for Caliban, everything else, is seeing everything about their homeworld suddenly being entirely changed into this dreadful, basically dystopian manufacturing. And that's whenever a certain faction starts rising up. We're basically saying, hey, we're not a fan of the Imperium because they're ruining our planet. Man, in all fairness, they were.
No, they were.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they're cutting out huge swaths of forest in a day, which would take them like 3 fucking years to clear.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
So after the whole Luther trying to blow up the lion and then deciding against it, the lion actually finds out about it. The lion doesn't even find out about it. He guesses.
Yep.
He literally says,
Yeah.
"You guys tried to fuck me, didn't you?" And they admit to it. They say, "Oh, we're so sorry. We'll never do it again." Lion goes, "I know you won't do it again because you're not going with me anymore. You're not going to follow me. You're not going to be on the crusade. I'm going to send you back to Caliban."
Yep.
But he didn't actually tell them that, did he?
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
No, I think he just.
Or no,
was like-
he literally just told him you're going
Yeah.
back to Caliban.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I
For
want you.
recruitment purposes.
Yeah, I want
what
you,
put.
Luther, and Zahariel, and the rest of you guys to go back to Caliban. I need you to head the stuff there. I need you to send me more people. I need you to be in charge of, like you said, recruitment drives and shit. And it's like, yeah, okay.
This
Cool.
was very much like a downgrade promotion from being
Yeah.
at that point.
The lion's right hand man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
It's like, hey, we're going to have you go back home and oversee things there.
yeah, it's like due to office politics, you can't like fire a guy or anything else, so you
Yeah.
got to demote him to the side
Fucking
office.
Luther's got
whatever.
10 years, so you can't touch him in that aspect. We're just going to reassign him.
Exactly, but I also allowed them to basically breed the seeds of rebellion of pro-Calibanites like sentiment on the planet, and also into the New Marines, which would later culminate after the heresy ended and all that fun stuff. So in the meantime, it's important to know. Let's talk about the Lion for a second, specifically. So we have the majority of the story. Okay, sans like post Horus Heresy, the Lion, and all this stuff. And this could be considered due to the entire fact he was raised by himself in the forest, hunting down animals. He had a very bad and hard time establishing connections with anybody or reading social cues. Okay, and that's sort of why I was saying he's autistic. Because there was actually like one scene in like one of the second Dark Angel books where he talks to whoever the fuck, I forget who, and after he converses with somebody, he straight up looks at him and is like, "That was socially okay, right?" And he's like, "I think so."
I want to say that was him talking to Zahariel.
Yeah, I
so,
think
yeah.
he had brought. I think that was when he had brought Zahariel up to like the tower and shit.
Yeah, and he was
looking up at the
talking to
night
him, and he
sky.
was like, "I hope this is socially okay. This
Yeah.
is socially acceptable." And he was like, "I don't see why it wouldn't
Yeah.
be."
Yeah, he's like,
"Okay, just making sure."
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, he was just completely awkward about the whole fucking situation.
Yeah, the Lion was a lot more detached than any of the other Primarchs. Okay, when it came to stuff, because even whenever he was with his Legion,
He was more attached to the Emperor than he was actual Caliban.
yes, he was
Once
more.
he
He
found
was much more attached to the Emperor himself
And the Imperium.
and the Imperium than Caliban.
Yeah.
Because again, the Lion is very, very individualistic. Like whenever you consider like characters like Lehman Russ are very individualistic, but at the same time they have a lot of connections and social circles around them. Okay, specifically with Russ and like the Route, which is the Space Wolves.
Yeah.
Right.
The Lion, his sons were just people he was around that he could command.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the amount of like sympathy he actually shared for them was relatively minimal compared to a lot of other Primarchs. Okay?
Yeah, everything had to be his way. He knew the best way. It had to be the way he did it. If he took any advice from you, if he asked you for any advice, it was almost kind of like a courtesy. It wasn't actually like he cared about what you thought.
Yeah, you were kind of like oh, maybe I should ask this guy what he thinks and see what he says. And okay, well it matches up to what I say it should be, so it must be the right decision.
Yeah. The Lion was somebody who people follow. He was not a leader. People just followed him.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
But so let's see. So Luther and the rebels end up taking over Caliban.
Mhm.
All while the Horus Heresy is going on.
Yep.
And during the Horus Heresy, that's about all you hear about Luther and the rebels is we took over Caliban.
Yep.
And the Lion is doing fuck all over on McCragg doing Imperium Secundus bullshit.
Yeah.
Slash
Lion-
getting
And you know what's funny?
by
There's a
fucking
side
curs.
story. There's a side story that touches on like what's going on Caliban and Luther and shit like that. And I guess and this is the part that's like really confusing, whether they're actually rebels or if Luther's still like loyal to Lion and you know the Dark Angels and the Imperium, stuff like that. Because in one of them, he's one of the, if I remember correctly, there was one of the captains was coming to him and telling him like, hey, you know, there's people who are planning to overthrow you and this and that, or yeah, they're talking about overthrowing the Lion and you know the Emperor and bringing Caliban back to what it was, but this and that. He's like, okay, cool, and he kind of plays along it, and it makes you think like, oh shit, Luther's gonna be a fucking traitor. And then like towards the end of the fucking story, he effectively has all of the people who were like traitors and shit who were plotting this conspiracy and everything rounded up and fucking exterminated. And it's like, wait a minute, so are you guys like, are you loyal to the Imperium still and like Lion, or are you taking him over? Like, what the fuck's going on?
Well, if you read what is it, Fallen Angels, I think
The second book?
yeah, the second
Yeah,
book. He
yeah,
the end of the second book, he straight up tells them like we're gonna support Horus and we're gonna go support the cause. He basically says fuck the Imperium, we're gonna go help Horus, and then
yeah,
never shows up to help Horus.
And that's what I'm saying,
Had a dissent. in
yeah,
the
this
way it
was one of the
Yeah.
fucking this was one of the tales in the Horus Heresy audio collection. It's just I guess an amalgamation of all the short stories. So I don't know when that takes place. If that takes place during like after Fallen Angels,
Right.
sometime during the Heresy, or you know before that, it doesn't really say, but there's that. So it's just like, okay, so are you guys fucking traitorous, or are you still loyal? Is Luther just playing like an Alfarius game of am I or aren't I? Like,
Here's my understanding for all of this is that, well, first of all, they were in a very bad position for Caliban because Caliban was
Oh, yeah.
by first of all, the Eye of Terror is relatively close to it. Second of all, as a traitor for basically for Horus, or at the very least, I guess we could say it's more anti-Imperium than it is like pro-Horus, pro-Chaos.
Right.
yeah, I think
But-
he's just pro Caliban. Like
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah, that was
Very
really
much so.
that was really what it was. He was like, we're in this for Caliban, but
yeah,
obviously the Imperium's not going to help us do that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
maybe Horus will help us do that.
Exactly, yeah. And initially with Horus, that was the promise, was like, hey, we'll give you back your cultures, your civilization, everything else. We promise a better reign. It wasn't a lot of chaos bullshit, and a lot of that actually came to a head in Siege of Terra, and that's when people were like, oh god, oh fuck, what is this? And it was kind of too late to turn back. But that's the corrupting influence of chaos. But that being said, it seems like his entire strategy was saying, hey, we're going up against our Primarch. And he wasn't stupid about this. He was playing a very long game, very slow game. He wasn't going to strike until he had a very good chance, which he would later get. So he was in charge of recruitment. All those new recruits he was pumping out, all of them were being pro-Calibanite. They were
Right.
basically being influenced to do that. And they were being told, hey, it's for the Lion. This is what the Lion wants. You know, don't look at me. This is what happens.
yeah.
And they just went with it because he wouldn't directly go and say Imperium bad. He would say Caliban good. Yeah, Imperium's over there, but Caliban good. We want to do
Well,
Caliban
that
first.
that and they also noticed. I saw this in the second book. Was they would send out messages to the Lion, basically saying, you know, hey, here, you know, giving him reports. Here's how many aspirants we have. Here's how many have gone through training.
Yeah.
Here's how many are ready for, you know, implantation. Here's the guys that have successfully been implanted.
Yeah.
Here's the number of actual Dark Angel Space Marines fully prepared
Yeah.
to go to war that we
Yeah.
have for you. And Zaharia would send out these messages and then never receive a reply.
Yeah, and the last message was
Classic
like, "Look,
line.
man, we everything is working as it should be here. Can we come back? Like,
Yeah, it
there's
was-
no need for us to be
it
here.
was
We'd
a
rather
des-
be right
yeah,
there."
that was the desperate plea
Yeah.
of we want to be here helping you,
Yeah.
and you're not
Yeah,
talking
we're
to us.
we're your original sons, and you've
Yeah.
kicked us back home. Like, can we come back? There's really no need for us to be here. And then and then towards the end of that same message, he's like, "Look, motherfucker. All right, we should be at your fucking side. If you're gonna be like this, fine then. Freaking don't think
and
that
then
we're
the fucking lion just leaves them on red.
yeah, yeah,
And that goes back to, again, the Lion was just that type of guy. He was not a leader. He was a guy who people followed. But
Yeah.
on top of that, like, imagine how different that entire situation could have been if it was almost any other Primarch.
Mhm.
Like, imagine if Sanguinius was the one in charge and had that happen. Sanguinius would not have put that in a situation where it happened because he was a leader, right?
Exactly.
And everything else. The Lion didn't give a fuck a shit. Specifically, going back to this, while everybody in Caliban was basically doing that, sort of gathering their forces, slowly becoming more fuck you to the Lion and the Imperium, to the point of rebellion, the Lion was straight up being a narcissistic asshole most of the time. He went on personal grudge vendettas against fucking, well, he did the entire canon thing with Perturabo, first off, which we'll get into in 1 second. But also he went on his own little personal crusade with against the Night Lords in the Thramas Crusade, which again was not super viable.
Is that how Kurz ended up on his ship?
Yeah.
Okay.
Literally how it happened, yeah.
Peekaboo.
Yeah, they literally had a curse infestation until they got to Ultramar, and then that entire shit happened.
And then
love that.
Ultramar became a curse infestation.
Yeah, pretty much. But also, again, for context for the Lion, this is the best story that you can wrap your mind around the Lion. The Lion learns, this is before Ispan 5. The news of Ispan 3 gets out, and they say, Horus and a couple other legions, like Death Guard, Emperor's Children, they went traitor. Okay, and at this point, this was before the full heresy. They just knew these small legions.
Yeah, all they knew was Sons of Horus, the Death Guard, and the Emperor's Children.
Yeah, and at that point,
maybe World Eaters.
Yeah, maybe World Eaters. And at that point, they knew, hey, there's a Forge World nearby that produces armaments and everything else, and I guarantee you, Horus is going to go for that. Let's take a strike force, go over there, secure that world, and do that. And they actually ended up doing it, right? But they got access to these crazy fucking powerful like artillery guns. Okay?
Yeah, the fucking siege engines.
Yeah, siege engines that are pretty much launching nukes at fucking places. Like very strong Dark Age
fucking
stuff.
basilisks on steroids.
Yeah. Now the Dark Angels, because the Dark Angels primarily deal with their entire shtick is dealing with like esoteric weaponry and plasma weapons. Okay?
Right.
If there's anything that the Emperor was like, this is a really dangerous weapon, I don't want any other legion to have it, I'm going to give it to the Lion. That's what he did in the Dark Angels. So this would have fit up like right up their alley, even if it was artillery.
Mm-hmm.
But he then meets Perturabo, who had not revealed his traitor loyalties to that point. And instead of doing anything, because Perturabo was on his way to Ispan 5 to quote unquote confront Horus, wink wink, he straight up says, hey, Purdy, I'll give you this fucking fuck off giant artillery engine, World Enders.
And all you have to do is vote for me.
Vote for me. Yeah, in the next election for War Master. Like the piece of shit he was. So he was already playing in the middle of what all the other Primarchs were freaking the fuck out about because, hey, you just had like 3 legions turn traitor. What the fuck's going on? He was playing politics. That's the type of guy he was. Yeah, he does not give a flying fuck about, for the most part, any organizations he's a part of or anything else. It's him. Hey, I should be the next War Master. I was already passed up on this once. I should be the next guy. And that's where a lot of people either really like or really dislike the Lion. And I feel like for us here, it's dislike.
Yeah, it's a very much dislike.
Yeah.
I can't stand a pick-me motherfucker.
Yeah. He's got like a pick-me kind of narcissistic entire entitlement attitude going on. And to some degree, it's sort of like a fuck you attitude.
I'll stick with Daddy Russ's fucking go with the flow attitude.
Yeah, go with the flow. All that stuff. But the Lion himself is just not a team player by any capacity. Everything he does, he usually does by himself. And if he does get roped into working with somebody else, it has to be
his
very, very convincing reason. Yeah.
So, but eventually, the Lion does come back to Caliban.
Yep. After the Siege of Terra, it's all over. Oh, we're home free, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. We finally did it. We defeated the forces of chaos, kind of. Everybody's, they're all fleeing. Dad's dead, kind of.
I'll send him a get well better soon card.
All the other shit has happened. It's time to go home. It's time to go home and bask in what these motherfuckers have been doing the entire Horus Heresy, which is getting me a legion ready.
Man, I can't wait to see Luther again.
Well, he comes back and is automatically like targeted as soon as he I think it was like as soon as they landed in orbit, they were like pinned and targeted.
As soon as they got in range. And here's the funny part is at that point all hell broke loose. But to the modern day, from both perspectives, from the loyalist and the secessionist is what I'll call them, nobody knows who fired the first shot. Nobody knows. The secessionists, even those who were like manning guns, swear the Lion fired the first shot, and the Lion swears they fired the first shot. It gets to the point where in like the most recent book, which was like Son of the Forest by Mike Brooks, fuck Mike Brooks, going around, he actually has.
How you really feel.
Yeah, no, for real, no, fuck Mike Brooks, dude. He's by far the worst author in my opinion. I'll stand by that. Yeah. Also, shitty ass book. Don't buy it. Nothing happens in the book, but he talks to some of the fallen that he recruits, and now they're called the Risen.
Ooh.
Ooh, yeah, such a great name. Because basically the fallen who are redeemed because they were just secessionists and they didn't realize what they're doing. They were hoodwinked by Luther. So he's like, okay, come back to my side, buddies. Okay, there you go. But they say, well, you guys fired on us. And then he's saying, well, no, actually, you guys fired on me. And they actually had like a nice little father-son talk, which was a lot of innuendos for I'm still right, but also I guess we'll just agree to disagree and go from there. The Lion of 40K is very much a different person. But yeah, so 30K Lion, narcissistic asshole, very individualistic. I'm better than you and everything else, and I will fight to prove it. And to be fair, he had the skill. He was like one of the best swordsmen in the galaxy, by far, especially like the Primarchs. Like when we're talking about melee Primarchs who are like combatants, he was definitely
he
up
was
there.
he was actually seen on he was actually seen kind of on the same spectrum as warriors like Russ and Angron as far as his martial adept.
Oh yeah, I'll say like Vulcan, Angron, Lion, Russ. There's more. Varys was sort of, but not especially.
Yeah, I want to say it was Lion, Russ, and Angron were considered like your
Probably top three.
Yeah, you're probably your top three
Yeah.
as far as martial combatants.
Yeah, well, and also Sanguinius and Horus. Yeah. So you get like you have a solid amount of like solid combatants,
Right.
and obviously you have people who are like Alfarius, Dorn, Gilliman, and while they're all like really good combatants because they're fucking Primarchs, their
that
skills
wasn't their cup of tea.
that way exactly that wasn't their cup of tea. They're going to be in the command room commanding, and they're probably not going to take the field of battle.
Unless you're Alfarius and a Megon, then they might just be on the front line.
Yeah, true.
Probably
But you'll
somewhere.
never know.
Yeah, you won't
Dun,
know.
dun, dun.
If you see them on the front lines because they've already fucked up your back line.
Yeah.
But so as the fighting and everything and the bombardment of Caliban goes on and everything, partly from bombardment, partly from warp storms, Caliban ends up splitting into pieces and blowing up.
Yeah. You ever seen Star Wars and when Alderaan blows up?
Yeah.
It's like that, but the chunks are bigger. Yeah.
Like that, except one castle that somehow or another makes it.
Ooh, floating space castle. Let's go.
Yeah.
But and then so after that, all that happens. We now have the Rock, which they turn into a spacecraft. Do they turn it into a spacecraft? Or
Yeah,
is it
they,
just a floating fucking rock?
they literally go and turn it into using archaeotech because again they have access to the deep dark archaeotech and stuff. They literally rig up some fucking like V8 engines to it and fucking say let's go, baby.
Yeah.
Warp technology from
Pretty
the
much.
line.
Now here's the funny part also because reminder up until 30K they had black armor. After this happens, whenever they took on the green armor, presumably because of Caliban.
Mhm.
So which it's kind of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of comedy moment where it's like the secessionists were very much for Caliban. It's important to note these fallen were not explicitly chaos. They were very, very firmly in the category of they are traitors, or at the very least they would consider themselves more pro-Caliban to varying degrees. They were not pro-chaos. Chaos did end up influencing stuff because they get their tendrils and everything, but especially Luther. But overall, secession. And they were saying, we fought for Caliban, and then Caliban blows up, and the Dark Council's like, oh, we should change our colors because Caliban blew up and we miss it. We'll be the green on the planet now.
Yeah.
But yeah. So I actually have the colors down. Pre-heresy, they were black. Post-heresy, you have the dark green, except for your Deathwing. Your Deathwing are bone colored, and then you have your Ravenwing, which still
are-
wear the black.
Still wear the black. Yeah.
Yeah, and then after that, after the bombardment and everything, the Lion says, "You know what I really need right now? A fucking nap."
Yep. During the final battle with Luther basically gets yeeted through a chaos portal as a Deus Ex Machina, and the Lion basically just enters a catatonic state and is sleeping in the basically middle of the rock up until recently when he was awoken. But also he was awoken, but sort of transported, but it wasn't through the warp and it wasn't through the webways, like through dreams. So the dream's now also a realm along with the warp and the webway.
Yeah, it was just
Other shit.
This
Yeah,
is what
that
happens
was
when you
the
have
re-
fucking little Jawas.
No,
on
that's
your
what happens when you
fucking-
got goddamn Mike Brooks writing shit.
yeah. The Return of the Lion is like the dumbest fucking thing ever. It's like oh he got teleported off the rock. Well, where? Fuck if I know. Some like forest looking area. Oh, was he in the warp? Did the warp take him? No. Was it the webway? No.
It was the dream world.
Yeah,
it
it's
literally
like,
was the dream world. Yeah.
It's like, what, did he get fucking transported to Michael Jackson's Neverland and shit? And he's just like there?
Pretty much.
And it's like, oh, he's trying to find his way back. And okay, so how's he get back? some weird fucking mirror or something takes him. Like, what the fuck is going on in this book?
I mean, it's not like the entirety of like a dream world isn't super far out, and it's not like it's suddenly contrary to 40k lore. And like in all fairness, because again, how the warp works and everything, basically all of existence matters and has its own form of way to materialize.
This is a warning for you, Mike Brooks. If
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
fucking
Fuck
bring
you.
back Russ and you
Dude.
write the book for it,
I swear to God.
I swear to fuck.
It's a fucking, like, his return is literally just a Deus Ex Machina. It's just like, oh, look, Lion's back. Well,
Okay.
fucking-
You want me to summarize the book real quick? Okay.
do
Spoiler
it.
alert. Spoiler alert for Mike Brooks, Lionel Johnson, Son of the Forest.
We'll
Once
throw,
upon
a,
a-
we'll
once a-
throw a spoiler alert up on the fucking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Once upon a time, the lion woke up and he's like, "Oh, I'm in a dream. This is weird." And then he stumbles into a manifesting dream allegory for the emperor, which is like this old king in front of a fireplace in like a decrepit castle. And then he wakes up and he's like, "This ain't Caliban. What's happening? Why am I old? Oh." And then, "Oh, look, there's Chaos Space Marines. I better go have an action sequence with Bolter Point. Oh, no, they have a lot of muscles. What's Chaos? Ah." And then he's like, "Oh, look, I was Deus Ex Machina directly onto the same planet where one of the Fallen is. That's really coincidental. That's odd." And then they meet and they're like, "Hello, son. Son, put down the plasma pistol. Son, why do you try to kill me? Oh, you did try to kill me. No, I didn't try to kill you. You tried to kill me. Let's agree to disagree. You're a piece of shit. You're a piece of shit. I love you, son. Thanks, Dad." And then, "Oh, look, an Imperial world over here. Another settlement needs our help. Let's go over here. Hello, non-binary Xi queer person. Oh, thank you for your correct pronouns. Oh, look, a weapon conveniently made for the dimensions of a Primarch that was left here by the Emperor in 30k. What a cool thing." And then the rest of the story is just literally, the story of what was it? The Green Knight in Arthurian legend, where it's a challenge. It's like, you decapitate me, and if you fail, I decapitate you. That plays out like one for one in the fucking story, and that's it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait. So when did the Emperor have a shield?
He has been shown with basically he had a sword. He had sword. He had some form of talent thing. At least
Yeah,
some
that's-
working at it. He did have a shield. Yeah.
I've only ever seen the sword and the talon. When did he
Yeah.
decide to put down the shield and pick up the talon? Is my question.
Because fuck
Yeah.
you, that's when.
I mean, it's assumed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, is that
The same reason Russ has a sword, a fucking axe, and apparently a fucking spear that he never uses.
Yeah.
Because the Emperor had the spear and then was like, "Here, you can have this spear. But
Yeah.
here, Valdor can have the same spear.
Yeah.
It's a sister spear.
The Emperor was like
but they're both my spears."
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Emperor was like a maxed out like RPG character with a fucking just randomly pulling out random bullshit
It's
from his
just
inventory.
the fucking the maxed out inventory
Yeah,
slots.
he's a
Unironically.
fucking Skyrim character with like 40 armor sets in his bag.
That's why the Emperor's still living. He's just eating wheels of cheese.
He's just fucking TGM'd the
Yeah.
dev console.
Oh god, that was too much skooma. Oh shit.
Fucking Horus like hits the Emperor. He's like, "Hold on, pause," and then cheese wheel.
Oh,
But yeah,
shit.
Mike Brooks, Son of the Forest,
Yeah.
fucking awful book. Nothing happens. The only significance is, oh look, there's a dream realm, and the Fallen. Some of them are not chaos assholes, but some are chaos assholes, and also the Lion can quite literally smell chaos corruption.
Huh.
So that's a thing.
Interesting.
That's cool.
And if he redeems
Because the tentacles aren't fucking good.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
You
Yeah.
have a tentacle growing out of you, but you might be. Oh no, you're fucked.
Yeah. And he's establishing a protectorate in Imperium Nihilus, other side of the Great Rift. And he's like, "Listen, we're doing this, but we're still part of the Imperium, but also fuck the ecclesiarchy." And that's literally fucking it. That's it.
Wow.
Wow. Yay.
Yeah. Again, fucking so much wild wonderment and amazement coming from the fucking Dark Angels. It's like, hey, how'd your Primarch come back?
Oh, that's nothing. We have
Plot armor. Cool.
That's nothing. Wait, just wait, because I have the list of successor chapters here,
Oh God.
Oh.
and I'm gonna tell you right now, like 90% of them either have the word angel, knight, or order in it.
Sounds about right.
So
let me call one. The Order of the Knightly Angels.
Probably.
no.
Oh shit!
You want
I
me to-
just made
you-
another successor.
You want me to go
chapter.
into this? All right.
Yeah,
All right.
go for it.
We'll go into this real
Okay,
quick. So
go
your
for it.
successor chapters.
Words.
These are your not original legion. These are your guys that after second founding. Is that what it's called?
It's including second
They
founding.
basically like broke off.
Yeah,
from-
basically these are you guys that after the whole fucking fuck the Codex Astartes happens, this is what you get. So we have the Angels of Absolution, the Angels of Defiance, the Angels of Redemption, the Angels of Vengeance, the Angels of Vigilance, but they're a rumor. Apparently they're just like a rumor on whether or not they exist or not.
Wow. Space
So they
shark
probably
there.
do exist. You have the Angels of Wrath,
Space sharks don't exist. It's imperial propaganda.
the Blades of Vengeance, the Bringers of Judgment, the Blade Keepers, the Consecrators, the Cowled Wardens, the Disciples of Caliban. Here's where here's where we start. The Knights of Abhorrence, the Knights of the Crimson Order, the Knights of Redemption, the Knights of the Shrouded Skull, the Lion's Sable, the Penitent Blades, the Persecutors of Darkness, the Prime Absolvers, the Guardians of the Covenant, the Repentant Brotherhood, the Star Phantoms. They're another one that's suspected.
Yeah, that's us. Yeah, that's one of those that kind of flips, but yeah.
The Stewards of the Sanctum, the Unnamed, and then, of course, the most important one, the Fallen.
Bro,
Fallen.
do they?
Well, the Fallen's its own, just for clarification fully, the Fallen's not a successor chapter, but that's all the Calibanized secessionists that are kind of scattered to the wind. Yeah.
So
Yeah, they were just listed as a successor
Yeah,
chapter.
fair enough. Yeah.
I could be wrong on this one. I'm pretty sure I'm wrong, but for so far, they seem to be the only legion with the most successor chapters that want to be Dark Angels, but not.
Yes. So here's the fun thing also with this is that we all know about going back Imperial Fist, shut up. We all know about the last wall protocol for Imperial Fist, right?
Mhm.
By chance. So basically if end of the world scenario happens, they can say last wall protocol activate, and all the Imperial Fist successor chapters sort of like combines into the Megazord, and they literally reform the Imperial Fist
Voltron
Legion.
this shit.
Literally, yeah. They reform the Imperial Fist Legion, which is actually really cool. The Dark Angels have something similar. So ever since the incident at Caliban blew up and all that happened, there's been the Unforgiven, which is all the loyalist Space Marines, like all the chapters, Sans Fallen, and then you have the Fallen, which is they tripped and they can't get up. And that's all the Calibanized secessionists, everything else. They still wear the dark armor and they hide. And the warp scattered them whenever Caliban blew up, and they all got sucked through a little warp vor portal sort of demon shit. They got scattered through time and space. So they've been randomly showing up last 10,000 years. And sometimes they go and hide. Sometimes they try to infiltrate loyalist warbands. Sometimes they do all sorts of shit because they're trying to hide. But for the Unforgiven, which is Dark Angels and all the Dark Angel chapters, they are still unified very strongly by hunting for the Fallen. Because that is the number one thing for Dark Angels, is hunting the Fallen, because the rest of the Imperium does not know what happened with the Caliban secessionists. And they view it as a great shame, and they're afraid they'll be purged from history if this ever gets found out and stuff like that. So it's a very, very big secret, but also even the Dark Angels and majority of the chapter themselves don't know about this. Only in these chapters, only the inner circle, which is the very, very top elite members of the chapter, know what happened. Because they're afraid that if everybody knew, the secret would get out, but also the shame would basically end this entire lineage.
So
They'd end
why
up
is
getting
the-
second or 11th.
So why
Yeah.
is the Fallen constantly trying to chase after Cypher?
Uh,
If the Fallen
yeah, that
are
was,
essentially
I didn't put-
chaos type dudes, fucking why are they?
Okay, you remember when we talked about Harlequins and Harlequins just do shit for doing shit?
Yeah.
Cypher
Cypher.
does shit just for doing shit.
It's like Cypher's he has an agenda, but we don't know what it is, but it's doing something. And
I
it's
wanna
like-
know
Because there's
what
a
the
lot of
fuck it-
speculation that that Cypher's just trying to bring the lion back the lion sword.
Well, he's failing so far. So
Yeah,
let's see how
that's
far
what
he
I'm
is.
saying. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think it'd be that
did
hard
they
to
ever
find
like
lion.
did they ever like elaborate on what his actual sword is?
Like in
Because I know
40K?
they always say that like Cypher for the most part uses pistols.
Yeah.
Fucking that's like his thing, and he has a
Dual-wielding
sword.
motherfucker.
Yeah, and he has the sword that he's never pulled out of the scabbard.
Yeah, that's
because-
supposed to be the lion sword.
Correct. That was the lion sword in 30K.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And that there's speculation that he's never touched it because, well, A, the sword is as big as a fucking Primarch, he says.
Yeah.
And B, if that is the lion sword, which there's no
I
reason
thought
why
they
it wouldn't be,
mentioned
because
something in 30K about it.
well, even if you look at his fucking 40K model, you look at the sword, it's the lion sword.
Mhm.
It's the same sword that the lion has in his 30K model.
Right.
And speculation that he's trying to bring it back to him, but it's like, where the fuck do you have to go? Like, you know where the lion is. He's on Caliban. But at least for the most part.
Well, I mean, kind of.
Yeah.
The piece of Caliban that's still floating
Yeah.
around.
Until he got teleported away.
But he's off doing all these fucking side quests and shit before going there. Like,
Because you got to fucking buff up on the side quest before you start completing the storyline. Come on, man. You
But if-
played Skyrim. You
but
know how this
yeah,
goes.
but if all you're trying to do is bring the goddamn, I've also seen
I was
Skyrim.
a level 30 before I went back to fucking Windhelm to fucking
But,
fight the
okay,
dragon.
So in Skyrim, Alduin, big baddie and shit. I've seen a speed run where the guy did the entire Skyrim thing in like 5 hours or whatever, and
Fuck
all
that,
he
that's
did,
stupid.
all he did, like he never bothered leveling up or anything. He just went through the actual whole main quest, did what he had to do, get to Alduin and beat Alduin, and he was like level fucking like 10 at most, maybe level 5. I don't fucking know. I got to look at it again. But
Well, I mean, if you look at it, Alduin's like the stupidest boss fight too, because literally, like, he doesn't do shit to you as far as hurting you. Literally, all you have to do is use Dragon Rend, bring him down, start hitting him, and
Yeah.
then eventually he fucking blows up.
yeah, but that's what I'm trying to get at. It's just it's possible if you can do it in Skyrim. Why couldn't he just be like, hey man, I need to go. Where's the lion? You know where he's at? No. All right, let me find somebody who is. Okay, that guy knows where the lion is. Probably on Caliban. I need to get there.
No. To be fair.
To be
To
fair.
be fair,
To-
and
to
everything
be
else.
fair.
And this again goes into sort of like how weird flux that Dark Angels are in right now is because the previous entire lore was that you have the Fallen and you have the Dark Angels, the Unforgiven. And the Unforgiven, it was kill, torture on sight for any of the Fallen. And I'm saying, do you know about the what was that one? The chaplain, the interrogator. But they had this entire deal where every time they go around and they find a fallen, they will capture and torture them for information. And every time they successfully do that, they get a little black bead. And they have one chaplain that just has black beads all fucking around that stuff. I think Asmodai, that was it.
Oh, Asmodee, yeah.
Oh,
That guy
yeah.
with the new
Yeah.
model, yeah. But obviously,
Beautiful model too.
Yes,
Fucking like, as much as I hate Dark Angels,
It is a
fucking
nice model.
their models, except for the lion. The lion's not my favorite, but he's still kind of
Fair
cool.
enough,
But
yeah.
Asmodai's model is
Yeah.
fucking insane. Asmodank
Asmodai,
with the
Asmodank.
fucking with all the smoke rising up.
Caliban Kush. But that
Should've
was
put a lion to sleep.
Yeah, that was the entire deal. But if any fallen, because would get near Dark Angels, if Dark Angels caught that scent, it was a fucking death missile headed away. So to be fair for that, but also this is also how fucked up it kind of got, because previously the entire battle operations for Dark Angels that made them kind of unique was that they would go ahead and they would dictate everything around, is there a hint of potentially a fallen person there? So you know the Siege of Rax, right?
Mhm.
You know why the Dark Angels were there?
Mm-mm.
They thought one of the traders on Vrax.
I was about to say that's the big Krieg.
Yeah, that's where Kree was introduced. Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
because they thought one of the commanders on the other side was a fallen in disguise. And you know why they left Vrax? Because they found out it wasn't the case. So therefore, they just packed their bags and fucked off. Like, that's the part of stuff. They'll be in the middle of a campaign, fighting along with enemy forces, be a vital part of this campaign. And if they say, "Oh, look, fallen, that planet over there," they will stop everything and go to that planet. I mean, that's
And just
that's the
fucking
shit.
leave, bro.
Literally death missile. Yeah. They will
Okay.
death missile their entire fucking shit. They will kill how many people they need to. They will kill Inquisitors. They have done before. They have killed other Space Marine chapters. They will do anything they need to do. If you have another Space Marine chapter and they think, hey, we think that one of your people was fucking killed and is now actually a fallen in disguise, as this, it was pretending to be this battle brother in your chapter. They'll go in, they'll kill the entire other chapter, probably with some other Unforgiven chapters, search through the fucking remnants, try to verify, and if they're wrong, there's like, oh, okay, no survivors. I mean, and if they're right, they say, oh, okay, no survivors.
We used to have a
That's the shit they do.
term in the army for something like that, called them cab hunters.
Cab hunters.
Yes. So in the when you're deployed, if you take contact from an enemy or whatever, and whether it's a firefight or they fucking blow you up or something like that, and you're still living, whatever, you'll get what's called a combat action badge.
Yeah.
Right. Put it on because you saw combat.
Yeah.
Right. So cab.
Oh,
Right.
so, yeah.
So we had a lieutenant who was a fucking cab hunter. Like he would go out of his way to make us go to places where we could possibly,
He wanted that bad.
get some action. Yeah, because it would help him in promotion wise. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
gotcha.
From going from lieutenant to captain, it would look good on his fucking resume.
Those
Yeah.
cabs look good on an
Yes.
EP evaluation.
Exactly. So when
Well, what
you're
makes
saying
you
that
special? Well, I got shot at
Yeah.
and this motherfucker didn't. So if I don't get a fucking EP, then
Yeah.
by God.
yeah, exactly. It was like a resume buffer and shit.
Okay.
So when you're talking about dark angels, they'll be over here on this planet doing some shit, and all of a sudden they get a word that there's a fallen here. They'll just drop everything and go. That's
yes, instantly. Yeah.
that's exactly what it's like. Oh, these guys just want those beads, whether it's for fucking recognition or
Especially Asmodai,
yeah,
apparently.
Oh, yeah, especially Asmodai. He's
It's
really
like
good at
I'm
that.
gonna wear this fucking this door curtain full of fucking beads and shit.
I'm collecting beads like I'm at fucking Mardi Gras.
yeah,
There we go.
exactly.
But the entire Dark Angels chapter, ever since like even before Space Marines were involved and it was on Caliban, it was always super, super secretive with their stuff. And that's only further continued. So the thing is like circle within circle within circle within circle within circle within circle. I said that so many times for emphasis because that's the sheer degree it's at.
Well, and that was also how they set their whole order is set on a spiral.
Yeah.
Everything that they do, everything that they live, breathe, teach is literally set up on a spiral, and you can
Yeah.
see this in Descent of Angels. Even before they were treated as Dark Angels, they in their training
Mhm.
platform or whatever, their training platform was a spiral.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
even
there were
their-
there were like step guidelines on this spiral platform.
yeah, and they even taught you how to fight on that spiral
in the
and,
spi-
and,
the fight
and
in the
even
spiral.
make a fucking circle, and then there was an inner circle and an outer circle, and
Mhm.
like fucking even in their tactics is the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So secrets upon secrets. And the funniest thing, going back to the Fallen Risen and where Dark Angels are right
Oh,
now.
I can't wait! I have a space wolf tangent.
Oh God.
Oh,
Anyways,
fuck.
increasing my 10-minute tangent to 20. But
I'm allowed to have look. I'm allowed to have this because space wolves have.
I'm
a
just gonna have
fuck-
to change your face at some
we
point.
have the
dude.
I can't help it. We
Just
have the
change it. Just
vendetta with
change
the
it.
fucking
Nope,
Dark
that's-
Angels.
Oh, that's true. That's true. But
We have a big vendetta.
what,
with
Yeah,
the
what
Dark-
they're currently
Dark-
doing is we don't know exactly how the fuck this entire like risen fallen thing is worked out for the majority of the chapter. We do know that whenever the lion encounters he also hunts the fallen to some degree. But whenever he finds them, he gives them a little sniff test, says chaos, no chaos, no chaos. You want to come with me? Cool. No? Okay, you're dead. But when they do so, they join the chapter as the risen and they keep the black armor. And they act as almost like the secret police for Dark Angels, and they will literally go and be the fucking Gestapo in other chapters and other stuff on the orders of the Lion directly.
Jesus Christ, who do they think they are? The Inquisition?
Pretty fucking
Fuck.
much, yeah. So suddenly, it's entirely reasonable, and also none of the chapters know who these individuals are. They just know, oh, random people in black armor. They have a lot of authority. They report directly to the Lion.
Kind of
Well,
like
we
the
can't
Death
question it
Shroud.
because we're used to secrets. So
Yeah, kind of
Yeah.
like the Death Shroud, where it's
Yeah,
like no
body-
one knows
yeah.
who the fuck they are. They can be taken from anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
I would say it's very similar to that, except more secret police and less like full bodyguard duty. Yeah.
Fair.
Yeah. The Death Shroud was more bodyguard rather than.
Yeah, but I mean in the
But
sense
it's
of
similar.
like nobody knew who they were. There were speculations that people who were supposed to have been killed in combat weren't, and they
Yeah.
could have actually been part of the Death Shroud. So
Exactly. Yeah.
that kind of shit.
So how the fuck they're dealing with the fallen on such a wide scale whenever they don't know that apparently there's a path for redemption, and apparently the Lion's now kind of cool with the secessionists because they're like, hey, a lot of you were tricked and you weren't like chaos or anything. You're just kind of just tricked and you love Caliban, so coming back. So
So-
that's the state of the Dark Angels right now, and it's really fucking weird.
So what you had said earlier about the Lion, he's like he's not a leader. People just follow him. Like, it reminds me of a quote that I read in a book by Simon Sinek, and I had to pull it up to get the quote exactly and shit. But it essentially it says there are leaders and those who lead. It's like leaders hold a position of power and influence. Those who lead inspire us. We follow those who lead not because we have to, but because we want to. We follow those who lead not for them, but for ourselves.
Yeah.
That is not the Lion there. Lion is a guy who holds power and influence, and people only follow him because they have to, not because they want to. As
Well-
opposed to like let's say Horus, who he inspires everyone
yeah.
he fucking meets, and they want to follow him because they want to, not because they have to. Same thing with Dark Angels, or as opposed to the Dark Angels, where, well, I have to follow him. I have to be loyal to him because he's my Primarch. Like that's
Right.
I mean, yeah, there was definitely a lot less like fraternal bonds in the Dark Angels compared to other chapters. You know,
Yeah.
if you're in like I'm trying to think of a good example now, Ultramarines, okay, you still have it's very formal, it's very official. You're fucking blueberries, everything else.
Theoretical, practical.
Yeah, theoretical, practical.
Yeah.
For Ultramar, we march from our crag, we flip from our crag. But at the same time, they still had a lot of like actual genuine connections with their battle brothers, with Ultramar, with their Primarch. They had a lot of love. And Dark Angels still have that stuff, so to say, like for their Primarch, but it wasn't necessarily returned. And on top of that, it's like, how the fuck are you going to trust anybody in the Dark Angels when you have secrets upon secrets upon secrets upon secrets? So the actual intrinsic bonds of loyalty just from basically being in essentially a military organization together with psycho indoctrination is a lot less because of how the Dark Angels are set up. But that's being said, I don't know why. Games Workshop, I'm assuming, is actually sort of in the process of moving the poster child from Ultramarines to Dark Angels.
Fucking why?
Okay, presumably because people are burned out on Ultramarines. That's the main thing.
I mean, yeah.
The second thing, they also recently changed some lore because previously Gene Seed and how stable Gene Seed is a very big deal in 40k because that's how the chapter gets passed along. Everything else.
Yeah.
And if you have unstable Gene Seed, odds are that your successor chapter is going to be more fucked up and more fucked up because, you know, you have copy of a copy of a copy of copy.
Yeah.
So higher stability, more chapters, more chance of growth, everything else. And previously, Ultramarines were the staple because they had the most successor chapters by far. They still do. And they had the most highly stable Gene Seed by basically a mile.
Right.
It got changed now to where the number 2 place, which was Dark Angels, is now number 1. So now Dark Angels are actually the most stable, secure Gene Seed out of all the legions.
I wonder how that is, though. Like, what is the genetic flaw with the Dark Angels? Just fucking
Paranoia,
being traitors?
Retardation.
Being traitors? I don't understand.
neckbeard.
I mean,
Treason?
it's because, like, I don't know.
We need
Let's
to
say
do
all
that.
three of
You
us.
have a sudden urge every time that someone fucking mentions a rule to push up your glasses and go, actually.
Yeah,
That
that's just the players.
That actually sounds more like Ultramarines than it does Dark Angels. Actually, according to the Codex Astartes.
But,
no, that's the
you should have
genetic flaw.
parried
That's
when
the
he
genetic
thrusted.
flaw. That's the genetic flaw in their players.
But I'm saying this does work out a little bit because, like, imagine we're in the Dark Angels, right? And although we don't receive, I guess you could say, like, fraternal bonds of affection and get, like, rewarded that way for brother, you know. But instead, we're all part of the Dark Angels. But, Drew, you have a secret that you're part of an exclusive club, right? You got the exclusive Raven Wing secrets.
Ooh.
And then you're in the Death Wing. You got the exclusive Death Wing secrets. And then I don't fucking know what I use for me.
We'll say you're the fall. We'll say you're one of the fallen that came back.
the Risen.
Yeah.
The Riz.
Yeah. The Riz.
Riz. Yeah, and that's sort of the stuff. That's sort of like your, I guess you could say, feedback from the chapter is basically whatever rank you're at is your the responsibility for more secrets. And that's the entire deal with the Dark Angels and how their sort of fractured and very, very secretive communication actually sort of works to keep guys, well, first of all, loyal, and second of all, actually feeling valued and feeling wanted to continue onwards. Because even if Space Marines are, at the end of the day, just weapons, right? They're still humans. They're transhumans, but they're still humans. And that was also the big flaw in 30K was that they were too human, so they kind of ramped up the psycho indoctrination after Horus Heresy.
Right.
But they want to keep them kind of satisfied and based.
I'm still going to say Alpha Legion did it better. Just saying.
Not wrong. Not wrong.
Just saying.
So speaking on, we were talking about how, Lionel Johnson's like very, if I come up with a plan, it's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
This actually happens, and I can go on my Space Wolf
Go
tangent
on
now.
in.
So I can't remember exactly where it was. I don't think they really specified exactly where.
Buttfuck Space Planet number 3.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Space Planet number 3. The Space Wolves were there, and Lehman Russ had put it in his head that I need to kill this guy. This is the commander, the big high dude. That's my fucking kill. I want it. Well, the Dark Angels, I don't know if the Dark Angels were already there or if they showed up or what, but I think I'm pretty sure the Dark Angels like showed up to help the Space Wolves. And Lionel Johnson and Russ were both there. And Lionel Johnson ends up basically going, well, I don't want the Fenrisians to fuck up my plan. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna tell them that we're gonna attack this place at this time, but I'm gonna leave like an hour earlier and lock up the fucking spaceship
Fucking
and leave them.
tryhards. Yeah.
Basically, lock them up on the fucking spaceship. And as they were passing, like Lion kills the commander right in front of Lehman Russ as Lehman Russ is seeing him kill the commander. Lehman Russ gets into a big fucking, that's my fucking kill. So he airs out his grievances to the Lion, and they end up fighting. They end up wrestling for, I think it said a day and a night. They just go into a full-on out brawl, just brawling for a full day and a night. And then eventually they realize how absurd their fucking petty little fight is. And Russ, being Russ, just starts laughing. Because this was funny. This was I got you. That was a good fight. We had a good old time. The Lion didn't like that so much, and the Lion just like stands up, fucking literally fucking cold clocks Russ upside the head, knocks him out, and then fucking leaves. Is like, fuck this, fuck you, and fuck everybody.
That's a good categorization of both Russ and the Lion right there.
Yeah.
And this actually spawns a feud between the like a lifelong feud, to the point of any time that a Space Wolf and a Dark Angel are in the same place, they choose a champion. Space Wolves choose their champion, Dark Angels choose their champion, and then they meet in the middle, and both of them get one blow to try to attempt to knock the other person out. So Space Wolf will come up, and he'll say, all right, you get first blow. And then a Dark Angel will come up, fucking full-on cold clock him, try and knock him out. And he'll be like, you couldn't fucking get me. And so the Space Wolf will come up and fucking punch him upside the head and fucking try to cold clock and knock him out.
You ever seen that? Actually leads to like that one fucking scene in Unremembered Empire, which I swear to God is still like the funniest book in Horus Heresy. You see, whenever the Lion made planetfall, you had the wolves that were guarding Rabute. So they're
guarding.
Guarding.
Yeah.
But the entire procession with like Rabute, and to my knowledge, he wasn't aware of this entire deal. And then there's a giant procession made the way to the Lion. The Lion walks up, is all cordial. Next, you know, the wolves that were right next to Gilliman fucking walk up in front of Gilliman, and Gilliman's like, oh my God, they're about to do some dumb shit in the middle of this giant fucking ceremony with all the citizens of McCrag.
Yeah, and they literally you know what needs to happen.
Yeah, and it was like this fucking the Lion too.
Yeah, and then he fucking picks him, and then they're like, okay, well, Lionel Johnson was literally like, okay, well, I pick myself as the champion, and they were like, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. That's not fair.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, it still happened, and the Lion and the wolves are just like,
Okay, let's fucking do it. All right, we'll fucking do it.
Yeah. I fucking love the wolves, man. They're funny as fuck.
They're fucking. I just love the whole "it is what it is" attitude.
Yeah. Well, it's just like also the entire point of view mainly happened from Gilliman's perspective. And
and Gilliman was just okay.
It's like the matriarchal figure in the family when you have like a giant group setting, and you know everything's got to be right and everything else. Next, you know, like two people start some bullshit, and then the internal freak out, I assume.
Watching his internal freak out on that was fucking great.
What the fuck are you doing, you motherfuckers?
But yeah, see that was my Space Wolf tangent. It was a cool. I thought that was a cool little lore tidbit of our sibling rivalry
that was reserved. But yeah, speaking of Gilliman and his, I just wanted to put this out there. Fucking, why is it that goddamn Ultramarines? Okay, so each chapter has their own thing that they like fucking yell. You know what I'm saying? It's just like battle, like fucking Lupercal, like that kind of shit. Fucking Space Marines are like Gilliman. And it's like,
I also have their battle cry.
So what is it?
So for them, it's obviously they have for the Lion,
right?
But their other one is repent, for tomorrow you die.
See, that is fucking hardcore.
I saw that and I was like, ooh.
I'm not gonna lie.
I was like, ooh, could you imagine like a bunch of motherfuckers just screaming that on the top of the hill, and you're just like,
Yeah, I kind of want to fucking use that in my everyday life and shit.
Yeah, repent, for tomorrow you die, faggot.
Yeah.
But yeah, That's one of their shit is like, one of the battle cries for the fucking Ultramarines. They're stupid. They're the gayest thing I could probably Gilliman or Forma Crag. And it's like, okay, that one's okay, but stop yelling
generic, but
stop yelling Gilliman. Okay, like that I don't know, maybe it's the
Or the All Father.
Just
again, going back to this, I don't know what the fuck is it with the goddamn just unremembered Empire Calth entire shit just having the funniest fucking moments. But whenever like the patrol, it was either Patrol Calth or Unremembered Empire. I'm pretty sure it was Patrol Calth, and they're fucking doing like a void boarding action, and they're floating through space, and then suddenly they go off and they start. And then one of the goddamn soldiers, and the thing is, we marched from a crag, and they're floating through space through the fucking spaceship, and one of these cheeky ass motherfuckers like, we float from a crag. And he said it as a joke too. And I was like, dude.
I want to say I'm almost certain that was Betrayal Account.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Cal.
Yeah.
This entire shit happened. That one guy's like, best opportunity for a pun right now.
Yes.
Yes.
But, all right, so is that everything we have for?
I'm pretty sure that's everything.
Do you
for
want
the
to discuss,
Derp Angels.
For the most part, yeah. Do you want to discuss like the tabletop, how they play real quick? Just to sort of give an overview. 'Cause
stupid.
we're talking
On the
obviously
tabletop.
stupid.
So on the tabletop, well, I guess we can start with the Lion because he just got brought back into this into the fold
Yeah,
here.
we got a Primarch, so that's definitely a big
They've
bonus.
got their Primarch. He's got some pretty beastly stats.
Apparently, he got nerfed.
Did he really?
I'm pretty sure. I think that's what they said was that he got nerfed. I think everybody got nerfed. I know that the Deathwing Terminators got nerfed hardcore.
The Deathwing Command Squad, if I'm not mistaken, are the ones that got they got a hard nerf. They used to be able to take them in 10s. Now you can only take them in 5s, and that's because their abilities were okay. So they were almost on the same level as like the Custodian Guard. Okay, you had fucking 10 Deathwing Command Terminators. Again, I have to go
tanky,
look
very
back.
solid.
Yeah, stupid, stanky, stupid,
Stupid
solid.
stanky.
They are. They were stinky, bro. If you look at this shit,
We said Death Wing, not Death Guard.
same difference,
Terminators,
dude.
green, all the same difference.
Yeah.
Well,
So
technically aren't green.
if I'm correct, and it was the Deathwing Command Squad, they have a fucking solid stocky profile. All right. I mean,
They're just dirty Death
they're
Guard.
T5, 2-up save, 4-up invuln. So right off the bat, they have 1 less toughness than Custodian Guard, but they have the same 2-up, 4-up. 3 wounds each, just like Custodian Guard. Leadership 6-up, OC 1. So
That's
that
pretty
was
standard Terminators. Like I think most of the stuff comes from like the weapons, right? Because they
Right.
get harder. Yeah.
right. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. They have their solid profile and stuff, but so they have a Storm Bolter, you can get plasma cannon, heavy flamer, cyclone missile launcher, assault cannon, but their melee weapons.
I was about to say it's melee where they fucked you.
Yes, melee. You can bring, or I'm sorry, was it Deathwing Command? No, it must have been Deathwing Knights. Yes, it was the Deathwing Knights. I'm sorry, not the Command Squad. It was the Knights, because the Knights have 4 wounds each. You used to be able to take, I think, 10 of these dudes. I have to relook at everything exactly what they did, but so they have.
I didn't research the tabletop for a lore
Oh, it's all
episode.
good.
Yeah, exactly.
Go into like general what you can do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So they're Deathwing Knights. They have an ability called Watcher in the Dark. So once per battle, at any time, this unit can summon a Watcher in the Dark. When it does, until the end of the phase, models in this unit have Feel No Pain 4-up against
God, you can
mortal
summon
wounds.
a midget.
Against mortal wounds, right? But their actual ability, so they have Deep Strike because Terminators and shit, but they have what's called the Inner Circle. Each time an attack is allocated to a model in this unit, subtract 1 from the damage characteristic of that attack.
That's pretty good.
So they're
Yeah.
-1 damage all the time.
Ugh.
And then
Chonky.
Oh, so what you're meaning is whenever he shoots him with whenever he gets shot, whenever he shoots him with Necrons, if he shoots him with if he shoots him with something that wounds for 1, it just doesn't wound him.
Fucking hell, bro. That's a dumb conversation.
yeah, no, that was also clarified in this last data slate update.
Like, hey, fuckers, in case you guys were mentally inept enough to not understand this.
Yeah, they had
rules,
to like. I think I believe that's the one they had to basically make it worded like no, it's only a minimum of 1. Jesus, but so the Deathwing Knights have the Flail of the Unforgiven, so you get 5 attacks. hitting on a 2-up,
Pretty
strength 6, AP 2, 2 damage
Yeah,
each. Okay,
that's solid.
so solid,
Yeah.
but it has devastating wounds and sustained hits 1.
Yeah, that's good.
So there's that. And then they also have the Mace of Absolution, 4 attacks, 2-up, strength 6, AP 1, 3 damage. So AP 1 is whatever and stuff, but that was their thing. So you used to be able to like take 10 of these dudes if I'm not
Yeah, you
mistaken.
take a lot.
Yeah, and now
it seems like they mainly like go into 3 categories,
Oh.
so to say, because they're
Actually-
still Space Marines.
actually you still can take 10 of these guys. It's 470 points if you want to take.
Actually, I think so
complete
because
that.
we saw Saurian do that in our last
Yeah.
game.
Yeah. So 10 of these dudes is gross in combat, but the command squad is you can take up to, that's an odd number. That's a very Nurgle number there. So you can take 10 of these dudes, 3 to 7 command terminators, then you got a Deathwing champion, apothecary, and an ancient you can take.
Oh.
Special.
And they have your basic chain fist. The halberd of Caliban is literally a Grey Knight's nemesis force weapon spec.
So their termies are mainly operating along like standard termy profile for the most part, but they have more
Yeah.
weapon options and they can hit a bit harder when it comes to that.
Yeah.
I'll say that's mainly, from what I've seen, that's mainly one of the 3 ways to play Dark Angels on tabletop. Is the first way is standard Space Marine. You can run all the standard Space Marine stuff.
Right.
Detachments. Second way is Deathwing, termy spam, basically very elite, very hardcore. Do a lot of damage, a lot of deep strike, and the last way is like Raven Wing, where you have the fast attack options. Right?
Yeah,
You have the
there's
specific
usually all
Raven Wings.
bites and shit like
the
that.
speeder bikes and all
Exactly.
that.
You can bring Lionel Johnson, who's a pretty beefy fuck.
Yes, yep.
Movement of 8, toughness 9, with a 2-up save and a 3-up invuln. 10
Damn good
wounds.
at 10th.
Yeah. So he has his Arma Luminous, which you can shoot as bolt or plasma. Both are a 12-inch range, so stay 12.5 inches away and he can't shoot you. The bolt is not a very promising profile. It's just strength 4, AP 1, 2 damage
Yeah.
with 4 shots. The Luminous Plasma is 2 shots, strength 8, AP 3, 2 damage. But his melee weapon, you have fealty, so you can do striker sweep profile. His strike profile is strength 12, AP 4, 4 damage
Yeah, you can do some damage with that shit.
with lethal hits. So 6 is to hit, just auto wound, and the sweep profile is you get 8 attacks on that fealty strike. Yeah. Then you get the sweep, which is 16 attacks at strength 6, AP 3, 2 damage with sustained hits 1.
God
And-
damn.
Let's see, he has the fights first profile, so that's a thing. If he's charging in, it's whatever, but he really wants to get charged.
Yeah.
Mhm.
To make use of that fights first, and that'll fucking hurt if you let him fight first. He has Primarch of the First Legion as an ability, so he can select one of like 3 a legion abilities to give to the Legion. He's got the Emperor's Shield, which gives him -1 to wound, and on an unmodified saving throw of 6, the attacking unit suffers 1 mortal wound after it has finished making its attacks. So
Extra fuck you on top of fuck you.
yeah,
Extra.
so
fuck
he's
you.
-1 to wound, and if you roll a 6 on your saving throw, whoever attacked him takes 1 mortal wound. Fucking- wow. But he does not have the leader tag, so it means he's on his own.
Yeah.
However, as long as he's within 3 inches of 1 or more friendly Astartes infantry units, he has lone op.
Oh, that dude, yeah, good luck fucking trying to shoot him off the tabletop.
Yeah.
That's fun.
So
But what was it? Yeah. So if you're playing Dark Angels, you got a whole bunch of beefy shit. Like, again, those Terminators, the Lion himself. And
Yep.
even if you don't use any of those guys, I mean, you have a fuck ton of characters. Dark
Oh,
Angels, one
God.
Oh yeah,
chapter.
Yes.
fucking
Crazy
you've
amount.
got Azrael, their chapter
Mhm.
master. You've got Asmodai, Belial,
2.
Lazarus. Or
Lazarus.
So yeah, you have Asmodee, you have Azrael, you have Belial, you have Ezekiel, you have Lazarus, you have the Lion, and you also have Samael.
Fucking hell, dude.
So you've got like 6 guys.
Yeah.
Who can
they're
be
almost
your-
as bad as the
well.
Space Wolves with having named characters.
Honestly, though. Yeah. I'll say you'll be fielding a lot
Oh.
of characters if
Oh.
you run Dark Angels.
And that's before, or that's now.
Yeah.
Fucking played them like a couple of months ago and shit. They had like a million more fucking named people. They were almost on the level of freaking Ultramarines, although nobody will ever beat Ultramarines in named characters.
Yeah.
but-
Actually,
oh shit.
We need to
it-
calculate which chapter has the most named characters.
I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
we
that's
looked it
three.
up. I'm pretty sure when we looked it up, it was Space Wolves that
I
had.
can see it.
Because because I mean that's their whole thing is having someone that has a deed worthy of a saga, and so you know, we have named characters for everything. Named
Well-
characters for Gray Slayers.
Ultramarines have named characters just for named characters. Like,
Yeah, that's true.
but-
Good old Uriel Ventress.
Damn straight.
but
I gotta be honest, I'm on Team Kato Sicarius. I'm not gonna lie. It is I, Kato Sicarius.
But yeah, when it comes to Dark Angels on the tabletop, they're not too bad. Now that they didn't get a codex, but they got treated like they got a codex. They got a whole freaking new
No,
box. and
their
new
codex
models.
is coming out next.
Is it the next
I
one?
want to say next it'll be Dark Angels and Orcs.
No. The next ones to drop are Custodes, Orcs.
I thought
Yeah,
Dark Angels
shit.
were on there.
It's possible. I don't know. Yeah, Jamie, pull it up real quick.
Yeah, pulling that up. What's saying?
Pull up the roadmap.
Let's find out.
Hold on, we're
Nope.
gonna-
Yep. Okay. So most recent was still Admech and Necrons.
Right.
And now next is Dark Angels and Orcs,
Oh, is it?
followed by Custodes, Tau, and CSM.
That's what it is. Okay.
That's all.
so
That's
yeah.
all supposed to be like
they're
spring
gonna do a
24.
Custodes versus Tau box.
You think
Yeah.
so?
That'd be funny as fuck. Not gonna lie. That's such a weird pairing.
That is such a weird ass
That's-
pairing.
I could see CSM versus Custodes out before I could see Tau, but you never know.
That's weird. That's still weird because we're gonna do a who was coming? We'll do a Dark Angels versus Orcs box.
I mean, you could, yeah. I'll say, I mean,
That would make more
Potentially.
sense.
Yeah. I mean, Orcs versus anybody makes
Custodes
sense.
versus
Yeah, get
Tau.
Gregor
It's like
Spring.
melee versus shooting. All right, cool.
yeah.
But-
So all in all, if you have some words to summarize Dark Angels, we're talking,
Cringe.
yeah. Well, first of all, cringe, stupid, and retarded. But if beyond that, we're also talking very strong-willed, independent.
Secretive.
Does not work well with others.
Does
Yeah.
not work well
Yeah.
with others.
I could give them the honorable tag. Everything's about honor,
Fair.
being from a knightly descent and shit.
100%.
Yeah, very secretive, very in the shadows.
hmm
Possibly treasonous. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah.
They have a propensity for just
They've
Being
done so
traitors.
much stuff in the sake of hiding up treason that they've committed so much more treason, like killing inquisitors, fucking killing other chapters, shit like that, dude. It's like, yeah, okay.
it's just
Like, be more worried about that than the fucking secessionists from 10,000 years ago, please.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I'm not a fan of Dark Angels.
Me
I think
either.
They're all
Yeah, I
cringe.
agree.
I think
If you are, good for you, but also reconsider life choices.
yeah. I mean, other than that, that's pretty much it for this episode, right? That wraps this up.
That wraps up everything for Legion 1.
Hope we
And
gave you guys a good
in a
rundown.
perfect world, we on the next episode we would go to Legion 2, but Legion 2 doesn't exist.
Are we going to Legion 3?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
next is Legion
I'm
3.
getting out the lube again.
Or we can go to Legion 2 and just have an entirely silent episode.
It'll be an entire episode.
We can upload that
fuck-
with this one. Yeah.
We'll have it. Here you go. You want to know you want to know what I'm going to give you the whole episode for the second episode. Beep.
For episode 2 for the second Legion, we're just gonna play those rain noises in the background and
Yeah.
view a black screen so you can sleep better.
Pretty much.
It'll be soothing sounds to fall asleep to.
Soothing sounds of exterminate, not to fall asleep to.
Yeah, just
10-hour repeat, 10-hour loop of an orc wog.
just fucking white noise with every once in a while just throw in some faraway screaming. Maybe. Yeah.
just to
about
make
it.
sure you
Just do that. Just randomly like scream into the mic, and then just like it's separated by just random like very very high volume screams.
Yeah. Maybe a couple of Wilhelm screams
Yeah.
here and there.
We want you to get some sleep, not that good of a sleep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so tune in next time, and we will go into our deep dive on the Emperor's Children. Yay!
Yeah. Emperor's Churin.
Insert Pornhub noises here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that wraps it up. Appreciate you guys for listening, and we'll catch you on the next round.
Yeah.
See you next week, guys.
Catch you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey there, guys. From all of us at the Serpent's Lodge podcast, thank you so much for listening to the end of the podcast. It truly does mean the world to us. If you don't mind, and if you enjoy this content, why don't you go on ahead and follow us on Spotify, as well as subscribe and hit the notification bell on YouTube. We'd greatly appreciate that. And in the meantime, we'll catch you guys in the next episode.